Today, we're looking at a situation that's right on a knife's edge, the escalating standoff between the United States and Iran. We're going to break down the military moves, the nuclear fears, and the intense war of words to really understand if we're staring down the barrel of a new conflict. So, let's get right into it.
You know, it feels like the entire region is just holding its breath, asking this one single question. Are we about to witness a devastating new war? The signs, well, they're pretty worrying. And as we're about to see, the stakes really couldn't be any higher.
So first up, let's talk about the military posturing. We're seeing moves on both sides, and the signals they're sending out are getting more and more aggressive. Let's break down what these reports are actually telling us.
What's really interesting here is how both sides are kind of mirroring each other. On one hand, you have Iran reportedly moving some serious high-tech weaponry. We're talking precision missiles and these swarms of drones. And the U.S. response? Deploying what's being called an unstoppable armada. Now, the official line from the U.S. is that this is all just precautionary. But, you know, the sheer scale of this deployment, it definitely suggests something more.
Okay, but you gotta ask, where is this information coming from? Well, the source is an outlet called the Sapar News Agency, and it has very close ties to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. And the IRGC is an incredibly powerful branch of the Iranian military. So this isn't just some random news report. This is basically a message coming straight from the heart of Iran's security apparatus.
And that brings us to what might be the real battlefield here, the war of images. See, these aren't just simple troop movements. They're part of a very carefully calculated messaging campaign. Analysts are pretty sure this whole thing is designed for a global audience.
The IRGC is just flooding its official channels with images like these. They're showing off all their military hardware, long convoys moving down what they call shadowed routes, weapons that are primed and ready for action. I mean, it is a textbook example of military signaling, and it's all designed to project strength and, let's be honest, to intimidate.
But, and this is a really crucial but, the source material itself admits that some key details, like, when and where these photos were even taken are, and I'm quoting here, frustratingly unclear and mysterious. This lack of verifiable info just adds another layer of strategic ambiguity to whatever message Iran is trying to send.
So what's the endgame with all this? Well, it's all part of a larger strategy known as strategic deterrence. The whole idea is to use the threat of force to stop your opponent from attacking in the first place. Both the US and Iran are flexing their military muscles, not necessarily to start a war, but to make the other side think very, very carefully about the consequences. But this isn't just about conventional military power. There's something else looming over absolutely everything, and that is the shadow of Iran's nuclear program. This adds a whole new and frankly terrifying dimension to this whole conflict. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to this quote from the Pentagon's 2026 Defense Strategy Manifesto. It says Iran's fanatical nuclear ambitions haven't been fully wiped out. That is a chilling reminder of what's at stake here. Despite past military strikes, the US military's official position is that Iran's nuclear ambitions are far from over.
Let's just walk through the timeline for a second. In 2025, you have this Operation Midnight Hammer, which was the major US strike that reportedly just pulverized key Iranian nuclear facilities. But then, only a year later, in 2026, the Pentagon is already issuing new warnings. And then in January of that same year, this series of really strange seismic events starts to spark rumors that Iran is secretly trying to rebuild its nuclear program, maybe in hidden underground facilities.
The scale of these events is, well, it's staggering. In just 1 week, there were 99 reported unnatural earthquakes in Iran. 99! That is just not normal seismic activity, and you can bet that a number like that set off every single alarm bell in intelligence agencies around the world.
And the location of these quakes? It is no coincidence. A lot of them were centered right around Isfahan province, which is the heart of Iran's nuclear program. This is where you find their top technology center, their uranium enrichment labs, and yeah, it's the very same site that was targeted in those 2025 strikes.
So beyond the military posturing and this nuclear mystery, there's actually a third front to this conflict, a blistering war of words. Leaders on both sides are out there drawing red lines in public, and it's raising the stakes even higher. On the U.S. side, the messaging was incredibly blunt. Then President Trump publicly confirmed the deployment of a massive fleet, and then he just left the threat hanging there with that chillingly simple phrase, "We'll see what happens."
And his rhetoric got even more direct from there. He explicitly linked U.S. military action to Iran's internal politics. by threatening a strike that would make Operation Midnight Hammer look like peanuts and tying it to Iran's crackdown on protesters, he was drawing a direct line between Iran's domestic issues and the threat of foreign intervention. So, when you combine the military moves, the nuclear fears, and these very public threats, what you get is a recipe for a massive crisis. And Iran, feeling all of this pressure, was pretty much forced to respond with its own public display of strength.
And here it is, this was Iran's response. During a major national holiday, they put on a whole televised spectacle for the world to see, powering up the engines of their deadly Shahid drones. Now, these are the same drones that have caused so much destruction in other regional conflicts, and this was a crystal-clear signal that Iran was ready and absolutely willing to use them.
And so, we're left with this absolutely terrifying question. Is all of this just an elaborate game of chicken? A high-stakes display of strategic deterrence where both sides are desperately trying to avoid a war? Or have we just been watching the final dangerous countdown to a conflict that could just engulf the entire region? Right now, the answer remains dangerously unclear, and the world just watches and waits.